That was quick. They were expecting me.
Expecting you? I can smell a copper a mile away.
You better keep a civil tongue in your head. Where's your father? No, it's no good, Tony. We know he's in there. And I want to question him about a house that was broken into in Berry Road.
You don't know nothing about it. You know nothing about anything. Why don't you leave the old man alone? Why are you always hounded in?
I've got a search warrant, and you better stand aside, young man.
Look, Inspector. If you send the old man up, it'll kill him. He's not well. Honest.
Look, I've got my duty to do.
What do you want to mess around with? Breaking and entering job. You're still looking for the Standish girl, aren't you? You know she's done in.
Now, listen, I've not come here to...
Look, I'll deal with you. Leave the old man alone. I'll make a statement. It was me what did him in.
Angela Leech, I must warn you that anything you will say will be taken down and might be used in evidence.
It's time for you to take your place on the jury. Invite you to... consider your verdict.
My lord, gentlemen of the jury, in March of last year, that is 1966, Detective Inspector Young was engaged in investigating a series of robberies in the Lewisham area, as well as the disappearance of a young lady named Angela Standish. In the course of his investigations, Inspector Young called round at the prisoner's house to question his father. Having received information which pointed to Leech Sr. as the person who stole the camera, a pair of gloves, and £21 in cash from a house in Berry Road, he was met by the prisoner at the bar, who urged the inspector that his father was innocent of such a burglary, and then made the entirely voluntary remark that he was responsible for the death of Angela Standish. Later, at the police station, Anthony Leech made a statement and was subsequently charged with the murder of the said Miss Standish. I would like to read that statement to you. My lord, I must protest. My client wishes to withdraw any statement that was made to the police. The statement, says my client, was made as a result of threats and promises. Also, my lord, it is inadmissible in that it refers to certain other alleged crimes which could have no interest for the jury and which must be prejudicial to the prisoner at the bar.
Mr. Brookfield,
whatever was said by the prisoner was read over to him, signed, and duly witnessed. We are aware that it is part of the defense's case that Leech was threatened by the police and tricked into making this statement. It's in the interest of the good name of the forces of law and order that this statement should be read out to the court at this stage. However, I assure my lord and the court that the inspector who took the statement will appear as a witness, and my learned friend will have ample opportunity to prove whatever charges he may care to make.
I rule that the statement can be regarded as a bona fide exhibit and may be read. Continue, Mr. Brookfield.
Thank you, my lord. It reads as follows. I am Anthony Leech, hereby
freely and voluntarily give the following promise, that I will lead and deliver information concerning the following crimes. 1, the assault on a house owner named Benjamin McQueen and the robbing of the said householder of various items of cutlery and jewellery and money to the value of £8. 2, assaulting Miss Phyllis Wright of New Cross Common and robbing her of her handbag and its contents. 3, the murder and robbery of Miss Angela Standish. I will leave this information on condition that my father, who has been arrested for robbery, is released from jail and is allowed to see me and my mother.
It is duly signed by the prisoner. May I hasten to add, my lord, that it would be illegal and improper for me to introduce just part of the statement. We are not asking the jury to take cognizance of any of the crimes to which Leech has confessed, other than the murder of Angela Standish. With the court's permission, I now call Inspector James Young. Now, Inspector, will you tell us of the circumstances under which the statement was made?
Well, sir, when we arrived at police headquarters, I cautioned the prisoner once again. I reminded him of his position, that he was about to confess to murder as well as robbery. I told him that he could have the services of a solicitor.
And what was his attitude to that?
And he said that he couldn't go on living with the thought that he had strangled someone. Said he wanted matters cleared up. He then offered to show me where the Standish girl was buried.
Milord, I object.
On what grounds, Mr. Hornby?
I must repeat, Milord, that all this evidence is based on a document which the defense considers was not a voluntary statement.
I came to the conclusion previously that no ground has been established for excluding the statement to which the objection has been taken. It will be for the jury to decide and determine what weight or value, if any, is to be ascribed to any verbal statements which the accused may be proved to have made. Mr. Brookfield, you may continue.
Now, Inspector, was a search subsequently conducted for the body of Miss Standish under the guidance of the accused?
Yes, sir. The accused was handcuffed between two policemen, accompanied by Inspector Williams and myself. We left for a field which lies between Cook and Carrick Avenues. It was late at night. But the accused didn't find any difficulty in pointing out the way. We crossed fields, went over fences, and finally arrived at a hedge near the brickworks. Leech stopped here.
You find a shoe under there.
And here?
Yeah, under those bricks.
All right. Oh, I got it, sir.
I'll bury the other shoe over there, next to the pond.
Look over there, Constable, will you?
Yes, sir.
Now, where's the body, Tony?
Oh, the other side of the fence. But it's been ploughed since, so I buried her.
Well, we'll walk along that way.
I think it should be about there. Yeah, I think she's in there. I'm standing on her.
Now, let's have some shovels, please.
Yes, sir. And was the girl's body found where the accused had indicated he thought it was?
It was.
Did the accused say anything?
Well, when we left the field, he repeated that he wanted to make a second statement. A full confession that would clear up the lot. The remark was repeated in front of Inspector Williams in the squad car on the way back to police headquarters. When we arrived there, I warned him once again, and he called for pen and ink.
Is this the second statement he made?
Yes, sir.
Will you please read it to the court?
Certainly. I am at present in custody at police headquarters, Lewisham, on a charge of murder. I've been informed that I'm not obliged to say anything unless I wish to do so. But that whatever I say will be taken down in writing and may be given in evidence. I have been informed that I am entitled to have the benefit of legal advice before making this statement. I wish to make it.
And now you will read the statement itself, please, Inspector.
I hereby confess that on February the 27th, 1966,
I met this girl as I was walking across Lewisham Green. I asked her the time and she ignored me, so I hit her. She started screaming, so I hit her again. She fell to the ground. I think she fainted. I then strangled her with my necktie. I then pulled her through the gate into a field known as Anchor's Field, because it was part of the Anchor's dairy farm. Part of it was ploughed, so I buried the body there. I then noticed that her shoes were off, so I buried first the one shoe and then the other. I've read this statement over and over.
Well, everything I've said is true. It's signed, of course.
Thank you, Inspector. Was any coercion used to extract this confession from the prisoner?
No, sir, of course not.
Thank you. That is all. Inspector, is it not true that Leech was desperately worried about the welfare of his father and mother?
And he was certainly worried about his father.
Did you not know that some days previously, Herbert Leech, the boy's father, was told that his lung condition was such that an immediate operation was necessary?
Yes, I believe that to be true.
You know that the boy's father's health is such that he cannot appear in court, and that he is not expected to survive the outcome of this trial.
I understand that is so, yes.
Did you not get the impression that Anthony Leech was so desperate that his father should not be arrested that he would have said anything to protect him?
Confessing to a murder and taking us to the body can hardly be described as confessing to anything.
Nevertheless, Inspector, did you not agree to his condition that if he made a statement, his father would not be charged with robbery?
No, sir. I was not in a position to arrange these matters. Nevertheless, I was pretty sure that the Crown Solicitor would not proceed with the charge concerning the theft of a few articles of little value once the full circumstances were known.
What circumstances, Inspector?
One, that his son was about to be arrested for murder, and two, that Herbert Leech was a desperately sick man.
Prior to making this so-called confession, did you suspect my client of murder?
No.
You were in fact investigating an alleged charge of theft against his father.
That is right, yes, sir.
Are you really asking the court to believe that this man would confess to murder in order to protect his father?
Oh, that was the case, yes.
Are you able in any way, apart from these statements, to prove that he was responsible for the crimes mentioned?
Well, he led us to the body.
But did he not tell you that he'd heard via the underworld grapevine where the girl's body was?
No, he did not.
Did you find his fingerprints in any of the houses where the other crimes took place?
No.
Did you find the camera?
No, sir, I did not.
Do you know someone called Lofty Miller, a known leader of a gang known as Miller's Mob?
I knew of him. He's now dead.
Did you not suspect the said Lofty Miller of being concerned with Miss Standish's disappearance?
Well, I don't see what that...
Please answer my question, Inspector.
We suspected every person with a police record who was known to have been acquainted with the young lady.
Thank you. That's interesting. Is it not true that the young lady in question was a friend of this Lofty Miller?
Lofty Miller is now dead, and I don't see that...
Neither do I, my lord. I don't see where this line of questioning is going to lead us all. I submit that my learned friend is introducing a red herring in order to lessen the impact of the signed confession.
Well, Mr. Hornblower?
Millard, had my learned friend's righteous indignation been contained, he would have allowed me to proceed with my next question, which would have inquired from this witness as to whether he had knowledge of the fact that Anthony Leech was a member of Lofty Miller's gang.
I see. Are you prepared to answer that question, Inspector?
Certainly, my lord. We do know that the prisoner at the bar was an associate of the late Lofty Miller.
You say the late Lofty Miller?
Yes, my lord. He was killed by some person or persons unknown in the Brighton Dance Hall on March the 2nd, 1966.
Thank you. Proceed.
Now, Inspector, I put it to you that my client had knowledge of the killing of Angela Standish, but out of the underworld code of behavior withheld such knowledge.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't you, Inspector? I'm suggesting to you that my client had heard Lofty Miller confess to the girl's killing and pretended to be the culprit in order to protect his father, his dying father, from a charge of theft.
Nonsense. I think it's nonsense.
You do you? That is all.
Just a moment, Inspector. Sir. I would like to ask you two questions. One, you say it was dark when the prisoner led you to the body of Angela Standish.
Yes, my lord. Well, we did have hand torches, but there was very little vision.
Thank you. Yet he led you to the precise spot in the dark in a field that had been replowed.
Yes, he did, my lord.
Thank you. I think perhaps this would be an opportune moment for an adjournment.
And so the court adjourns in the trial of Anthony Leech for the murder of Angela Standish. And now back to the courtroom. The court is once more in session. The usher has called to order those present, and the judge says,
Do you propose to call any other witnesses, Mr. Brookfield?
No, my lord. The prisoner at the bar stands convicted by his own confession. The deceased body has been recovered and given a decent burial. We feel the case against Anthony Leech has been proved up to the hilt.
I see. Thank you. Mr. Hornblower?
The case against my client stands solely on the confession he made, a confession he now withdraws.
Come, Mr. Hornblower. Hardly that. He was able to assist the police in the recovering of the body, was he not?
Millard, I thought I made it clear in the cross-examination of Inspector Young that my client had knowledge of the murder, but that he himself was neither accessory nor the culprit. However, since your lordship seems to rule that there's a case to answer, I'd like to call to the witness stand Mrs. Elizabeth Leech. Mrs. Leech, how old is your son?
23.
And now you stand here facing your boy who's being charged with strangling a young woman.
He didn't strangle her. He didn't. He's no murderer. Oh, I know he's been a thief and he's done some things for which he deserves to be punished. But he never killed no one.
Yet he confessed to murdering her.
It was only to keep the cops away from my bird. He come home from Oh, Bert, dear, I didn't hear he come in. How'd you get on, dear?
Saw the X-ray plates. It's the knife. Say they've got to operate.
You'll be all right, love. I'll make a cup of cocoa.
Yeah. Where's my clean shirt? Oh, hello, Dad.
Hello, son.
Come from the hospital, have you?
Now, don't worry your dad. Your clean shirt's in the airing cupboard. Father's going to have an operation.
They told me in the Rose and Crown the cops have been inquiring for me. Oh, that camera, we'd better get rid of it. And that cutlery set. They say that Ted squealed. Oh, I couldn't go inside. I couldn't stand another stretch. It killed me.
That's why Tony confessed to a murder he didn't commit. It was to save my bird. And now it ain't any use. Because my bird died anyway.
I won't prolong your agony any longer, Mrs. Leech. That is all. Mrs. Leech, no human being with blood in his veins could fail to feel a sense of compassion for you at this particular moment. Yet the fact has to be faced, madam, that your son was brought up in an atmosphere of violence and crime. That on his own admission, he was a member of a gang who terrorized respectable, law-abiding citizens.
My lord, is this witness to be bullied and intimidated in such a fashion?
Mr. Hornblower, a man of your experience would have known the hazards to which your witness would be subjected. You have chosen to call the prisoner's mother in order to substantiate your contention that Leech is innocent. It is the duty of the Crown to refute your submission, and therefore can only do so by questioning the validity of Mrs. Leech's evidence. Please continue.
Well, Mrs. Leech, is it not true you had no control over the morals of your son?
How could I? You know when Tony was born? When Arthur Lewisham was being blown up. He was born to the noise of bombing and gunfire. And what about my husband, Bert? They made him a commando, taught him how to creep up behind people and cut their throats. It's the war what did it. There's been nothing but...
Violence, Mrs. Leech? Is that what you were going to say? Nothing but violence?
Yeah, violence is one thing, but murder is another. My son ain't no murderer.
Strange that he could guide the police to the exact spot where the girl was buried. And that is all.
Mr. Hornblower, you seem to be placed in some difficulty.
Yes, my lord. It would appear that Anthony Leech is not satisfied with the way I've been conducting his defense.
That's right, my lord. I want to conduct my own defense.
At this stage of the trial, do you...
My lord, it's my life that's at stake. I know what I'm doing.
Do you? The court wishes to give you every assistance, but it seems to me that Mr. Hornblower's handling of your defense could not be faulted.
My lord, I asked him to recall the inspector, and he won't.
Mr. Hornblower?
That I received from Leech a note asking me to recall Inspector Young, during which I was to accuse him of certain highly unlawful acts and physical brutalities. I cannot do this, my lord, without the accusations being substantiated.
You have had every opportunity to confer with your counsel. Why have you introduced a new element into the trial?
Because I was afraid to before. Now I see me mum standing here. I'm gonna.
So be it. Let Inspector Young be called.
Inspector, didn't you say to me that if I confessed to the killing of this bird, you'd get me off with a plea of insanity, and that my father would be left alone?
I've already said in this court that I told you that in view of your father's condition, it wasn't likely that the robbery charge would be preferred against him. I said nothing about getting you off on a plea of insanity.
Didn't you? Oh, yes, you did.
You are allowed to ask questions, not make statements.
Sorry, my lord. Didn't you say that if I didn't confess to that, you'd get my mother on a shoplifting charge, as well as my father up for robbery?
Oh, this is fantasy, I tell you.
To use the language of these gentlemen over here, I submit to you that you came to my house knowing that my father was very sick, and using that knowledge to get a confession out of me for the murder I didn't commit.
You're talking nonsense, Tony Leech, and you know it.
Why didn't you get me a solicitor in the first place, then?
Your memory's very short, Tony. It was I who suggested you had a solicitor.
I can't quite see where your questioning is leading. When Inspector Young came to your house, did you not tell him you would give him information concerning the death of Miss Standish?
Yes, my lord. I was going to tell him that Lofty Miller did it. I was going to grasp to keep him away from my father. When the inspector got me to the station, he was so disappointed to realise that it wasn't me that was confessing. He began to bully me into it.
Bully?
Ask him, my lord, whether he didn't hit me in the stomach.
All right, I will ask him. Did you, Inspector?
No, of course not. It's absolute nonsense, my lord. At no time did I question the prisoner without witnesses being present.
Who was the witness, Inspector? Was it not always a police sergeant?
Yes, it was.
Enough said.
Am I to understand by those two words that you do not wish to question the inspector further?
There's no point, is there, my lord? Who's going to believe me with my police record?
You heard counsel's opening address. Any previous conviction is of no interest to this court. Would you say that you had had a fair trial?
Well, my lord, Look, my lord, I'd like to apologise to Mr. Hornblower. I'm sorry. I realise now that he couldn't very well put questions to Inspector Young without proof. Although what I was suggesting is true. I wish Mr. Hornblower would carry on for me. I don't want to go to jail for life for something I didn't do.
That is up to Mr. Hornblower, whom I consider you treated rather disgracefully. Well, Mr. Hornblower?
All right, my lord. If Anthony Leech wishes me to continue to act for him, I shall do so. Only because, strangely enough, I believe in his innocence. Before the trial commenced, I asked Leech if he was prepared to face the consequences of going into the witness box. He said yes, and I now ask him to do so. Leech, why did you confess to a murder you didn't commit?
I had to stop him coming into our house. There was a hot camera and a cutlery set there. If the inspector had seen that, they'd have pulled him in, wouldn't they? It was no good me saying I know who killed the girl. That's why I pretended I'd done her in.
Were you so desperate for your father's welfare that you were prepared to go to jail for the rest of your life?
If Dad had gone to jail, he'd have never come out of it.
And now that your father is dying, there's little point in your making this sacrifice.
That's about it, sir.
Are you still persisting in your statement that you were coerced into making a confession of murder?
What's so good? No one will believe me. I realise that now.
Please answer my question, Mr. Leech.
I withdraw that accusation.
That is all. How considerate of you, Leech. You withdraw that accusation. Are you asking this court to believe that had you not confessed to a murder, the police would not have been interested as to where the body of Miss Standish could be found?
All right. Since you're playing it tough, that's what I'm asking him to believe. That's all they wanted from me, a murder confession.
But you replied to your own counsel.
Never mind what I replied to him. You're all against me. Everyone's against me. I didn't murder her, see? Lofty Miller did.
No one in his right senses can believe Leech's story of police intimidation. Neither can anyone believe that the now dead Lofty Miller would inform Leech as to the exact whereabouts of his victim, let alone that he'd committed murder. The whole thing is a fantasy. The prisoner is trying to escape the consequences of his crime by weaving a thread of lies in the knowledge that Miller is in no position to reply. What caused Leech to confess to a murder when he wasn't in the least suspect? I suggest that apart from his story of police brutality, everything that he has said in this court is credible, and I ask you to believe it. He has made a confession and withdrawn the confession, and without that confession, no jury could convict.
Well, you have heard all the relevant facts. Would you say that Anthony Leech was guilty or not guilty of the murder of Angela Standish? In a few moments, we will bring you the actual verdict recorded in the trial upon which this dramatic presentation is based.
and just verdict?
We have, my lord. We find the prisoner at the bar, Anthony Leech, guilty of the murder of Angela Standish. We would like to add a rider, my lord, and that is, it's the unanimous opinion of this jury that the grave allegations against the police are totally unfounded.
Hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Consider Your Verdict, produced by Michael Silver. So, goodbye until next Tuesday, when it will be time once again to take your place on the jury of... Consider Your Verdict.